Welcome back. I'm Felix, and this is Reddit stuff. This is a writing prompt. I'm trying to do more writing prompts and some other stuff other than just am I the a-hole stuff. Today is the 4th of July. There's a lot of fireworks out going on. So if you hear loud booms and stuff, that's what's going on. But let's get into it. Let's see what writing prompt we got. Don't forget to like, subscribe. And let's get into some writing.
A scientist has discovered the vaccine of immortality. The only side effect is, though, infertility. After the whole world got vaccinated, it turns out immortality is a hoax. It is just an infertility vaccine. We like to think we're civilized, that we don't revel in the pain of our enemies, that we don't wish the most horrible of fates in those who would hurt us and ours. It's a truth that makes us uncomfortable, that inside each one of us sleeps a beast that would rip apart anyone who dared cross a line. The line is different for everyone. For a mother, it may be harming her child. For a patriot, it may be invading his country. For a miser, it may be taking his money. We can pretend all we want. It changes nothing. There is a monster inside all of us, and for many of us, it came out with betrayal of Dr. Karen Williams. She stood in front of the prison, flanked by armed guards. She'd go inside the squat building behind her, which contained the best doctors the world had to offer. They would work very, very hard to keep her alive for as long as they could. She would be tortured every day until she died. It would be a televised event. All proceeds would go to the effort to counter her heinous crime. But now she stood, and, through some strange consensus, although no one had decided upon this, she spoke to the crowd of millions that had gathered to watch her go in, and the crowd, the world, had known she would. "You hate me," she said, her voice being played on millions of screens. "You think I have, shut the fuck up." Someone said, "Someone just shoot that bitch," another voice called out. Both were immediately.
Yeah, the whole torture thing, yeah, I'd be like, just kill her. It's like, there was no reason to sterilize the whole world.
Silenced. Dr. Karen continued as if nothing had happened. "You think I have betrayed you, that I am some twisted, insane maniac who thinks the human race doesn't deserve to continue, that the world would be better off without us." The world held its breath. Everyone had thought her one of those maniacs. A few idiots had praised her, saying it was the right thing to do, before their neighbors had ripped them apart. "This could not be further from the truth," she said. "I have committed a grave crime, I admit. If there is a hell, I will spend an eternity in it after being inflicted with whatever agony you can imagine. But years later, when the anger has faded and the objectivity kicks in, you'll thank me. We'll all be dead in a few years, you bitch." A voice called, and this time a small chorus echoed its sentiment before being silenced. She smiled. As she was about to die in the worst way in history, she smiled. Humans will be united. For the first time in history, almost every mind in the world will be united to achieve something. Infertility? Please, you'll solve it in a few years, she scoffed. But once you have a taste of this cooperation, you'll do it again. Not immediately perhaps, or not fully, but you'll see what a united humanity can do, and you'll do it again, and again, and again. I have ushered in a new golden age. You may not see it now, your children might not, nor
Yeah, that's not a good reason to do what you did.
their children, but someone down the line will. I'm sure of it. Dead silence greeted her. The guards escorted her inside the building without ceremony. She was screaming and crying hours later. An excerpt from History, A Human Perspective, copyright December 2267. The infertility crisis as it is known is somewhat of a misnomer. It is what caused the birth of the United Science League and gave the United Nations sweeping powers to control research funding. Within a decade, a cure to the vaccine was found, but these organizations persisted. Within half a century, we had a colony on the moon, had terraformed Mars, and a century later, we had mastered interstellar travel. Sociologists predicted that such progress, such a united front, might have taken 1,000 years to occur and at the cost of some war or the other. The world agrees, perhaps a bit grudgingly, that Dr. Karen Williams is perhaps the single most vital catalyst in human history. A hero, some might say. You're a used car salesman that is...
Right, that first story, I'll be honest, was not a fan of that. Stories like that where the person's the hero. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a lot of fireworks. I might be able to mute it out. But yeah, the scientist is the hero because they end up. There's a better answer than that. You know, if you're that smart, you know, you consider yourself very smart, you could have figured out something else, something that wouldn't have been so detrimental. But let's look at this next one. You're a used car salesman. Okay, let's see what's going on.
Been transported into a medieval fantasy world where you've become the hero that needs to slay the dragon and save the princess. Your only leveled up skill, speech 100. I do say, Your Highness, I said to the king, I am more than capable of saving your daughter, but I'll need more than a flimsy sword and rusty set of armor. The king narrowed his eyes at me, but I knew that I had already won this debate. He sent me off with a shining iron sword and a glistening set of steel armor. Next up, I had to train my stats. You see here, my fine fellow, I said to the head guard. The king had given me full access to the entire castle if I am to save his daughter, and I demand you step aside at once to let me in the training grounds. The guard sized me up, but stepped aside, glaring at me all the while as I strided past him to the training grounds. The training itself was embarrassing. Let's not get into details, but my melee skills were brought up by 15 at least. That was all that I needed. I walked out of the castle grounds towards the stables. I say, dear maiden, I said to the young woman tending to the horses, you look mighty fine for a stable hand. Oh, said the flustered woman. Thank you. It's a shame that I must start walking towards the Dragon's Keep by now, or I would certainly stay to chat. The girl pursed her lips. Dragon, you say? She asked. Sounds very serious. I mean, if you need a mount. Yes? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Needless to say, I got that horse. Not to mention a new admirer.
Sound like really like, was that charisma is the one they always use? But he got speech, or I forget what it was now, 100. But that would be a powerful skill to have, to be able to talk people into things without really talking them into things.
I had one last stop. Oi, I shouted as I confidently walked into the bar. Who's up for a little gold in their pockets? What say you about gold, little man? Asked a burly mercenary as he towered over me. Ah, just the kind of raw muscle I was looking for, my friend, I praised. You see, there's a dragon who has taken the king's daughter. Little thing, really, don't know how it managed to lift itself off the ground with those little wings. A couple minutes later, I had myself a dozen free mercenaries at my disposal. All it took was the good old talk of fame and fortune, and they were practically at my every beck and call. We rode our steeds to the lair of the great beast. Dismounting, we walked up the spiral stairs of the tower the dragon called home. After the dragon had a feast of mercenaries, I snuck my way over to the princess's cell. In retrospect, I should have taken the time to level my sneak stat as well. The dragon whirled around, and I instantly raised my hands up to surrender, dropping my sword. What's a menacing creature like you doing stealing princesses? I asked, as it approached. It stopped for a minute. Who would have guessed that it understood English? I tell you what, you fly us home. We pin this whole thing on the mercenaries, and you get the royal treatment for saving the princess. What do you say? The dragon looked from the princess's cell, to me, to the bones of its last meal, the unhired help. As you could imagine, the princess got home safely. The dragon spent the rest of its years being the symbol of the kingdom and having all the criminals it could eat, and well, I have a date with a cute stable hand. Life is good.
That was a good one. I like that little story. A little different there. I kind of like these short stories. I'm going to listen to one more. But that one was really good. I actually did like that one. He basically just talked his way out of everything. As I said, that'd be a good skill to have, be able to just talk your way out of everything or talk people into things. So I think that would be interesting. All right, let's do one more and see what's going on with this one.
Fall in love with a girl, and the two of you have a happy relationship for a few years. But one day, you discover a massive hoard of valuables underneath the house, and that's when you realize you've been dating a dragon in human form. If our...
At least I'm laughing, because let's say you discover a hoard of treasure and you guys are broke. I'm like, whoa, woman, we need to sell some of this. And she breathes fire. It's like, you can burn me all you want. We're selling some of this. Because it's like, we're in debt. We need to get out of it.
Time began when I first laid eyes on Drakina D, as I called her. Then everything come next should have been our happily ever after. We held hands beneath the table at my parents' house, giggled like children at each other's jokes. We passed surreptitious winks when we thought nobody watched. We smiled in a spring downpour in a forest as birds chirped and squirrels scampered, and her tears of joy mixed with raindrops as she, too, got down on one knee and said yes to me 100 times. Happily ever after should have come next. We had no doubts, no qualms about the future, no ifs or buts or reservations. We bought a house, settled down, started talking about having kids, and everything we'd have to do to prepare. It wasn't a matter of if, when was the only question. It was summer of that year when it snowed for Easter, when the flowers had begun to bloom just for late frosts to beat them back, and the moisture from melting snow and incessant rain seeped inside due to poor sloping...
Sorry, I just had a flashback of Easter when I was a kid. I remember every morning the grass would just have a mist on it. And I don't think the grass does that anymore. Like, you just have a fine mist on it. The morning dew. And is that still a thing, actually? 'Cause I don't recall ever seeing the grass do that anymore anywhere. At least not around where I live. I guess the climate change took it away.
Taverns below the deck out behind the house. I donned my best workman's outfit, those old jeans Dee called dad jeans, and a shirt she'd forbidden me from wearing around the house. More hole than shirt, she'd called it.
I got a lot of shirts like that, and they are super comfortable. I have a shirt that just has a giant hole in the pit. You can't see my arm, but it's not this shirt. But I got several shirts that just have holes, and I just like better ventilation, but they're super comfortable.
Scurried. Spiders licked their little fangs at the thought of a human-sized meal. I cleared their webs with one hand and grimaced as others crawled around me and over me. Something sparkled from the phone flashlight's beam. I crawled closer. More sparkled. Coins, diamonds, golden goblets, and fine silver. Some were dirted as if they'd sat there for years. Others not so much. What the fuck? I muttered to nothing but the spiders and centipedes. I backed out the way I'd come. Didn't bother changing out of my work clothes as I waited for Dee to get home from work. She entered cheery as ever, smiling so wide she glowed. Better that than the days where she came home piping mad about something that had happened at work. Mad enough I swore she spouted smoke from her nostrils. Is everything all right, dear? She asked, looking me up and down. Your clothes are all muddy. They are, aren't they? I was underneath the deck checking on the sloping. I think that's why we have water in the basement. She turned a slight shade of pale, but recovered just as quickly. Underneath the deck? No wonder you're muddy. Why don't you go change and, have you been down there? I interrupted. Her keychain rattled as it hung loose in her hands. She looked at her feet. Yes, she said finally. That's odd. Why? Don't get me wrong, you're as entitled to being down there as I am. I'm just wondering if maybe you saw the pile of treasure there was. Was? She stood up straighter, alarmed. I didn't touch it. Dee didn't lie. Not that I knew of, at least. But she sure did seem to be treading that thin line between a bold-faced lie and a lie by omission. It's mine, she admitted in response to my judgmental silence. Yours?
See, I like the part early. He's like, what the? Because that would have been me. It's like, you got all this treasure and gold and diamonds and jewelry. We could have been living a plush life. And you got us living day-to-day paycheck, paycheck to paycheck. It's like, oh. I think I'd be super mad at my wife. Ugh.
Since we'd met, nothing was hers or mine, other than toothbrushes and underwear. The cars were ours, the house was ours, even the leftovers in the fridge became a lawless first-come, first-serve that neither of us minded. Ours, I guess, she said with more than a little reluctance. It can be yours, I said. I just don't quite understand how it got there. It's a long story, Dee said. I shrugged. It was a Friday night. I had all the time in the world, at least until Monday. Might as well get started, I said. Dee sighed. I'm a dragon. That's my hoard. Our hoard. I nearly spit out the water I'd sipped. A dragon. Right. And I'm a genie. Rub my bottle, and I'll grant you 3 wishes. Come on, Dee. I'm being serious. Me too. A dragon. Like a lizard person? That's silly, Dee. It's some nutjob conspiracy theory. We laugh at those people. Don't tell me you've become one of them. You laugh at them, Dee said. I listen. A dragon. Prove it, I guess. Breathe fire. Fly. I don't know. Dee. This is nuts. She took a deep breath, widened her beautiful, gray eyes. Look at me. Look at my eyes. I did. Her irises swirled. The ash gray glowed a faint yellow, then flared like a flaming red. A cloud of smoke poofed from her nose. A guttural growl emerged from deep in her belly, like last night's lasagna come up for its vengeance. Instead of bile or a vile belch, a flare of fire burst from her mouth. The candle sitting on the kitchen counter flickered to life. The electric bill sitting nearby had its edges singed. I gawked. She looked at me with those pale again eyes. See? I told you, she said, her voice raspier than normal, like a smoker's voice. I opened my mouth to respond, closed it again, then shook my head. Yeah.
I don't know what I would do if I discovered my spouse was a dragon. You stop and think about all the arguments you had. It's like, you could have turned me to ash at those arguments we had. And it's like, then you kind of wonder, whatever happened to your past boyfriends? Are they still alive? Did you eat them? Did you turn to ash? What happened to them?
You did. Although this really just brings up more questions. I mean, how much haven't you told me? Are your parents dragons? Are they even dead? Have you just not wanted me to meet them? Are you? Yes, yes, no. I'd love for you to meet them, but they really are dead. Not from a home invasion, I imagine. Considering they were dragons, too. Technically a home invasion, Dee said, treading again truth's thin line. The cave was their home, and there was an invasion. It just wasn't with guns or anything. There were torches and spears, and 24 knights, and my parents died protecting me. I escaped into the mountains. Which mountains, truly? The Austrian Alps. I'm from Austria, like I told you. I really don't like lying to you, babe. I just couldn't come out and say I was a dragon. Well, you could have, I argued, but I didn't believe it myself. I hadn't come out on the first date telling her I liked pineapple on my pizza and that I took my cereal with orange juice. People just didn't share those things. No, babe, I couldn't have. Nobody dates dragons. People kill them. That's why I took this human form. It was either that or dying like the rest of my kind, Dee said quietly. I swallowed hard at the dampness that formed in her eyes. It hurt my heart to see her cry, hurt it worse to think of the centuries of pain she must have endured.
I was just thinking, how old is she? And because they're talking about home invasion, it's like, I think that's a more modern term, a home invasion. So it's like, how old is this dragon?
So, am I really your first? Or have there been hundreds before me? I've heard dragons live centuries. I told you, babe, I don't like lying to you. You really are my first. She hung her head. A tear rolled down her cheek, steaming against her warm skin until it disappeared. I scooted closer, put my hand on her leg for comfort. Hey, you can talk to me. We're married. Till death do us part. All that. Dragon or not, it won't change my mind. I love you for who you are. I waited to find somebody until I knew I didn't have long left. I didn't want to fall in love, then have my love die, and then have to suffer hundreds more years alone. You don't have long left? The breath caught in my throat. It was my turn to pale, my turn to be comforted by her touch. She put her hand upon mine, let the cool smoothness of her skin calm me. Scaly smoothness? I shuddered, unsure how to feel. Don't worry, she said. I didn't mean it like that. I don't have long left in dragon years. In human years, I'm fine. I'll probably still outlive you by a couple decades. Is that a threat? I said, and both our faces broke into smiles at the familiar inside joke. She rolled her eyes at me. I had more questions despite the laughs. What does this mean for us, Dee? What do you mean? We're really rich now that you know about this. I don't like parting with my hoard, but I'd be willing to if it'd help pay off those student loans of yours or the house. I raised my eyebrows. Getting those loans off my shoulders would be a massive relief, but the load would just be replaced.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You don't have to get rid of all of it, just enough to pay off all the debt.
By knowing my wife was a dragon. And the hoard is bigger than just that, Dee said, and she sat up straighter with pride. Really? Wow. But like, in the future, can we still have kids? Of course we can, babe. I wouldn't lie to you about that. And they'll be normal? I didn't say that. It'd break her heart. Heart dragon, Dee said, but they'll fit in just fine. Just like I have. There's just one little catch, and it's more a personal preference. Don't tell me you don't want kids now, I said, my voice low and cautious. Oh, I do. But I'll need to deliver them here at home. Well, my mom delivers babies for a living, so I'm sure that's no problem. Oh, she can't be here either, Dee said. Why? Dee turned a bright shade of red and bit her lip. I don't want her to think I'm a freak of nature. Why would she? I asked, furrowing my brow. From what I know, the delivery won't be altogether normal. I'm pretty sure our kids will come from eggs.
I was waiting for that.
A scientist...
I was waiting for that. Because I was like, they're going to be hatched. They're going to have to hatch the kids. That was fun. I enjoyed two of the stories. The first one, not so much because I didn't like the way the scientists got credit for bringing the human race together. I've never been a fan of those type of stories where the villain, in that sense, does something horrific, but it unites the world. And like, that was my goal all along. They're like, there was a better way to do that. You didn't have to do that. But yeah, so I enjoyed that story. I'll leave a link for it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and everyone take care. Later.